Haseki Hürrem Sultan, the legitimate wife of Ottoman Sultan Suleiman, lived, according to various calculations, 52 to 56 years. She did not become Valide, the mother of the reigning sultan, for she died before her son ascended the throne. However, for over 20 years she actually acted as Valide in the harem, as her mother-in-law, Hafsa Sultan, left this world. The sultan's sisters, for various reasons, could not stand at the head of the harem. Mahadevan and Mustafa left for the Sanjak. The last years of Hürrem's life were also marked by her maximum influence on state policy. Around 1540 to 1541, Hürrem, along with 100 of her entourage, moved to Topkapi Palace, to Suleiman. The official reason for the move was a fire in the old palace, where previously the entire harem of the Ottoman Sultan and his children had lived. Suleiman's children were all grown up by then, all except for Cihangir. There were no more women left as potential minions. Hürrem, after becoming Suleiman's lawful wedded wife, ensured that they were all given in marriage. Moving to Topkapi gave her the opportunity to become more politically influential. This way she could see Suleiman more often, which meant that she could quietly put him in the mood she wanted. And, of course, to learn political news, meet with viziers and other officials, as we were shown in The Magnificent Century in the Marble Pavilion, because it was in Topkapi that the divan meetings were held, and in general all political life was boiling. Hürrem corresponded with European kings and queens. Thus, her congratulatory letter of 1549, written by Hürrem the Sultan to the Lithuanian Prince Sigismund II in honor of his accession to the throne, became the property of archives. By the way, under this ruler the Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland would merge to form Rzesza Pospolita. Hürrem sealed her letter with her personal seal. It is interesting that, if we believe the Turkish Wikipedia, none of the women of the Ottoman dynasty and the wives of the Padishahs had such a seal. Even Safiye and Nurbanu, who also actively corresponded with European monarchs, did not have a personal seal. This shows that Hürrem, indeed, had a certain political power, which was granted to her by her husband, Sultan Suleiman. In addition to the letter, Hürrem sent gifts to Sigismund II. This gesture is considered by some historians to be one of the proofs that Hürrem was from the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. The Lord trusted his Hürrem immensely. When he was on military campaigns, she carefully monitored not only what was happening in the palace, but also in the capital and even in the entire Ottoman state. She described in letters to the Sultan the problems that arose, asking for advice. She was his eyes and ears. In the first place, so that all her sons would remain alive and not be subjected to Fatih's law. For this purpose, however, she tried to smear Shahzada Mustafa. I won't dwell now on who is guilty of executing Shahzada, whether Hürrem and Rustam framed him or not, but it was unambiguously profitable for them to get rid of him. After the execution of Shahzada, relations between Hürrem and Suleiman cooled down, and the chief vizier Rustam Pasha was deprived of his position for 2 years. In general, he survived only thanks to his royal wife and mother-in-law, who begged the Lord to spare him. The Janissaries prepared to revolt and demanded the head of Rustam, but Suleiman ended up simply dismissing him from his position. In 1553 Hürrem's health began to fail. Modern Turkish historians say that she had a heart condition, she had angina. This condition worsened after the death of Cihangir. It can also be assumed that Hürrem was worried because of the feud that had already begun between Bayezid and Selim. Hürrem saw Bayezid as the future Ottoman ruler. Perhaps the Haseki had more confidence in him and trusted him more. For about a year Hürrem and Suleiman did not see each other. The Sultan was on a military campaign. But since 1555 they were no longer separated. They went together to the palace in Edirne to improve their mental and physical health. Edirne had a fairly modern medical center for its time and experienced doctors who observed and treated the Sultan's family. The forest air also helped. Except that in 1558, in the spring, Hürrem fell ill. Qutbeddin el-Mekki, envoy of the Sharif of Mecca, came to the capital to see the Sultan on an important matter in early April. He brought gifts for Hürrem Sultan and her daughter Mirima. He saw Rustam Pasha, distraught over his mother-in-law's illness, and a gaunt and silent Sultan Suleiman. According to this man, at the time Hürrem Sultan was in the old palace, suffering from malaria and colic. In his diary, Qutbeddin also described various interesting facts about Hürrem. For example, people say that she was supposedly given to Suleiman by his mother when he was still a Shahzada. Hürrem's death greatly saddened the people, because she was actively engaged in charity and did good deeds. On Saturday, April 15, Haseki Hürrem Sultan died. She was buried in the grounds of the Süleymaniye Mosque, and later a beautiful tomb, the turban, was erected. Sultan Suleiman was buried next to her in a new large turban. He died in 8 years. If you liked this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the Secrets of the East channel. I have many more interesting stories for you.